Well, I think always with China at the start of the year data, you have to take into account the timing of the Lunar New Year. But even when you look at January and February data combined, we're seeing a slowdown. And this reflects an weakening external environment, which was also reflected in the news we got out of the ECB as far as their growth projections, and just a weakening external demand picture that we're seeing globally. And that's been reflected in other Asian markets as well, when you see the weakening trade statistics into the start of this year.
Those policy measures announced out of the Chinese leadership earlier on this week, are they going to be enough to shore up growth in China going forward from your perspective?
Historically, authorities in China have been able to meet their growth targets. What I think is interesting, though, and one of the reasons you may be seeing weakening trade data have greater effect on markets right now, is the focus of authorities has been on stimulating domestic demand, meaning firms, of which Chinese markets have a lot of listed firms exposed to trade. A weakening external environment isn't something Chinese authorities can particularly do a lot about, which does spell a relatively less supportive environment in 2019 for those externally exposed names than we saw in 2018.
Okay, does that mean that your policy, or rather your investment strategy, alters to look at more domestic-focused companies rather than the exporters in China?
Starting toward the end of 2018, I think it's been reasonable for investors to look at the names within Chinese markets that are more reflective and more responsive to onshore policy choices. And so focusing more on those domestic names and companies that are particularly oriented toward easing policy in particular have been a way for investors to avoid some of the swings that come with external exposure, as well as shield themselves from trade headlines, which are continuing to impact markets.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.